You are watching my certified low effort content. I highly recommend watching the video that this is a partner to first, Superman 2025's biggest failure. That is on my main channel, The 10th Letter. Had you been a member of my Patreon, you could have watched this video 10 days ago and ad-free. Should that be something that interests you, please check out the links in my description. Otherwise, enjoy the video. Okay, to clarify, I do not think that Karsten Runquist's videos are low effort. The video that you're watching right now is low effort. I am a fan of his, although I may be pronouncing his name wrong, I'm not sure. And with the thumbnail and title, I'm just nodding to the fact that I like that there's someone on the internet who agrees with me on this hot take, and I felt validated on my opinion in the sense of like, oh, it's nice to think I'm not like the only one who thinks this. Not validated in the sense of my opinion's wrong, but rather it's nice to see other people agree. Anyway, this video is not a review. I didn't want to script a video, and I wouldn't call it a review unless it was scripted. This is low effort content, of course. So all this is just a kind of assorted list saying that I also don't like Superman, if you couldn't tell from the main video that this is associated with. So for some background, there are some very articulated thoughts that I have put out on the main video about why I do not like Superman and why I think it has some moral / philosophical failings put on throughout, and how it can be read as problematic, and I was reading it as problematic, and how history might remember it badly. But I also don't think it holds up much as a film, at least according to my taste and what I look for in films, and so I just want to kind of work through that. To start with the plot, I know it's a mean comparison because these films are great, but the comparison is always there because it's James Gunn, it's superhero stuff. The film puts a lot of distance between its stakes and its characters, which Guardians of the Galaxy trilogy does not. In the Guardians of the Galaxy trilogy, all the problems that the characters overcome relate to their personal arcs. Like Ronan and his relationship with Gamora, and also the requirement for the team to work together and trust each other for that goal to work. Quill's dad is his dad, you know, goes without saying, and then also Rocket's arc is explored through the villain. The problems faced by Superman in the film Superman don't really relate to him a lot as far as like the staked problems. There's not a lot of repercussions to the fact that... Spoilers ahead. Spoilers for Superman 2025 ahead. I should have opened with that. There are not a lot of repercussions to the fact that Superman is facing off with his clone. It doesn't relate to his character much. It's just a problem he beats and deals with. There's no kind of grander ramifications or explorations of like, whoa, a clone exists of a not human but a Kryptonian or whatever. And Lex is just kind of like a mean guy who hates Superman, and the arc that he overcomes isn't a necessary arc to beat Lex, nor is it an arc particularly related to Lex, I'd argue. I also think the same is kind of true of the film's Bravia Yarhampur subplot that obviously relates to Palestine-Israel. It's not something that Superman overcomes that is intrinsic to himself, so it makes the film structure just feel way less compelling than the Guardians of the Galaxy trilogy. And then, whilst we're on the topic of the Guardians of the Galaxy trilogy, the fight choreography is way better in that, and the way that the villains are overcome is also more interesting. Not only do they relate to the main characters, but it's not just like every fight in Superman is he's waiting to figure out a gimmick, he does the gimmick once, he wins the fight kind of thing. And I find that very dull, almost like video gamey, but in a bad way. It's very formulaic. It's not interesting for me to watch. Once the gimmick is figured out for any given fight, the stake is reduced to 0, and knowing that there's a gimmick that will be figured out keeps the stakes at 0 from the start. So I don't like that. Also, back to the writing of the film in general, to brush over the points I made in the main video, which I won't go into much further here. The women in the film are not written particularly well. Every woman in the film has a man that she is intrinsically associated with who is more relevant than her. The film doesn't have a lot of trust in us as an audience. He is a dog, he is a squirrel, look at how cute they are, now you're invested in the stakes. What if the dog gets hurt? What if the squirrel gets hurt? And it's like, yo, we have a Palestine parallel over there where children are dying in like a genocide or will be killed in a genocide, and you're telling me that like, oh, you need to raise the stakes with a dog or a squirrel. Both CGI, both don't look great. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. It's very kind of like pull on your heartstrings, very obvious attempt to do so, and I don't think it succeeds. Also, the film, again from my main video, the film implies that real world conflict that exists today is a problem for superheroes to overcome. And whilst I can appreciate this idea of inspiring hope for us to deal with it, that doesn't really happen in the film. Superman doesn't inspire hope in other people, he just does the thing that he's supposed to. And I can also appreciate there's an angle of like, you know, it takes altruistic good people to deal with these things and it's bad people causing them, but those altruistic good people shouldn't like the people who can deal with it shouldn't be exclusively relegated to superhumans who do not exist in the real world, especially when it has real world issues. But anyway, moving away from stuff I mentioned in that video, I don't like the visuals of this film, which I feel like is the least hot take of the reasons to dislike this film. The color grading is strange, the saturation is strange, and the CGI is not particularly good, especially with the dog Crypto. But yeah, the color grading in particular, it looks a lot, to me, it looks a lot like Unreal Engine 4 games. I remember recently playing Gears of War 4 for the first time, and I was like, wow, this looks a lot like Superman. This reminds me a lot of Superman, actually, especially those first couple missions where there's a lot of like bright blues and bright, weirdly saturated concrete landscapes. So yeah, I'm not a fan of that. I don't have much to say on the music. It's iconic, it's classic Superman theme, I guess. I haven't really listened to the soundtrack at all, but I remember enjoying it enough, so no complaints there. But I think for the main final thing, I don't really like David Corenswet's performance. I don't think he's doing badly with the material he's given, but the character he's playing very much feels like someone who is, again, tugging at your heartstrings, constantly trying to be emotionally compelling, kind of pulling like these nice faces at the camera to grab your attention and be like, wow, look at that guy, he's so heroic, he's so hopecore, so inspiring, and it feels quite just generic, I guess. It feels like a very standard way to write a film in that sense, the way his character is written and the performance that comes out from that, although I don't think he himself is a bad choice for Superman. And then I think for Lois Lane, unfortunately, Rachel Brosnahan's performance is quite flat. I'm not the biggest fan of hers either. I also don't like a few other performances in the film, but what's the point in working through all of them? That's the two leads. I don't really like either of them. But yeah, that's my list. Very unstructured, very just blurted out, but I want to say that, like, I am glad that there are spaces for people to share I don't know where I'm going with that. There are spaces for people to share hot takes and stuff, and while some of them suck and some platforms allow people to pick up way too much traction and vocalize bad thoughts and engage in problematic behavior, which leads to uncomfortable consequences, sometimes, just sometimes, there's a karsten runquist who validates your opinion, and it's like, yay, I'm not the only person in the world who thinks like this, I'm not a freak. I've mostly gotten over that thought as I've grown up, where, like, I will just have my opinions and they are my opinions and I can stand by them. But every now and then, the majority makes me feel a bit isolated in my thoughts. Thank you to his video. He's probably not ever going to watch this, but it's like, yeah, I like that his Superman review exists and you should go watch it. There are much more articulated thoughts than what I'm giving here. But if you watched that video and wanted to know what I thought of Superman, if you watched my video and you wanted to know what I thought of Superman on a whole and not just in its political content, I don't like it on the whole, and this video has mostly been why. So that's all for today. Thank you for watching TTFN. That means ta-ta for now.
Miss Teschmacher! Da 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 dun 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 go dun 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 go dun 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 dun